Welcome back to Music 239, Introduction to World Music. Today we have a very special presentation on Native American music given by Randy and Chante Falcon. Chante is Randy's daughter, and they will be performing and talking about their music for you today, and also I think there may be some dance involved with this as well. So we are in for a real treat. Please enjoy.
As he said, we're Chante and Randy Falcon. This is my daughter. She's only 12. A lot of people think she's older, but she's not. She's just big for her age. Comes from good stock. No. We are Ottawa and Ojibwe, which is part of the Anishinaabe people, and we are Muscalero, Apache, and Navajo, which is our southwestern side. But we basically range from the Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota area. The dress, I'll explain a little bit. The dress that she's wearing is a jingle dress. This comes from our Anishinaabe people. It was told to us that one of our relatives actually was one of the first women who actually brought this dance to America from Canada. A lot of kids who dance today, somewhat, I won't make that general statement at all, but some I've seen, they'll make a dress, put it on them, and just put them out on the arena. We don't do that. She had to, without the dress, before she could have the dress made, she had to dance for her uncles. I sang. They watched her. And they had to give that okay for her to do this dance in front of you. Or at a dance here in Missouri or Oklahoma or Nevada, wherever she's danced at. She had to have permission to do that. Had the right to wear that dress. Because there are rights as a jingle dress wearer that you have to conduct yourself every day. She has a lot of responsibility for a 12-year-old. And because to us, this is a medicine dress, this is a healing, and it can be used for socially powering, or it can be used to do a ceremony right on the arena if it's called for. And if it's called for, then she has to know how to conduct herself, what to do. So she's basically gone through all that. She went through it, how old were you? 7, 8, and they went ahead and she came up to them and said, "I want a jingle." And they said, "Are you sure you don't want a fancy or something first?" And she said, "No, I want a jingle." And they said, "Okay, we'll go ahead and put you through that." But we can't do this without one big element, which is our drums. I brought 2. This one's cowhide. This one's elk hide. These are 2 different hand drums, rosewood, and this one's made out of pine. If you've always noticed, our drums are in circles. That's how our world is. That's how your world is. You start at a baby, you move into young adult, you go into adult, you go into old age, and then you die. She understands this from the day that she was born, that she's dying. She's not afraid of it, because it's all part of this. You know, Columbus and them thought it was like this. We said, "No, it's like this." And he said, "No, it's like this." And we said, "No, it's like this." And it was like this. So, he was wrong, we were right. The other misconception is, if any of you guys have watched Hollywood movies, you hear this thing. You see the Indians come in, you hear pianos. Not one Indian ever carried a piano into war. I'll just state that now. The other thing is we never, ever took a drum and went boom, 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 because that's just Hollywood with little and no imagination whatsoever. They did not pay attention to what we were doing, because our songs mean something. We're a living culture. This has been with us since our creation. To some tribes, this was brought to us by a woman. Our pipe was brought to us by a woman. In some cases, not all cases. Got to remember that you have a lot of tribes out there and everybody's different. The one thing I will tell you though is that you can put this drum in the middle of that room and all of those men will agree to what it stands for. They won't argue about it. Even if they do have a difference in the way they conduct themselves around it, they won't argue about it. So We're a little bit different when it comes to sometimes some religious denominations who like to argue about certain things. We don't do that with our pipe or with this. Or where you women stand, you don't have to prove yourselves. You're already given a gift. You're given a gift to be able to give life, take life. You automatically cleanse yourself every month. Us men can't do that. So we set at that drum. We sing those songs. We compose those songs so that the Creator will hear us. And we're a living culture, so as I stated a little bit earlier when just me and Dr. Prescott was talking, was somewhere right now there's somebody sitting in a sweat lodge composing a song because someone needs it for a funeral, or someone needs a veteran song sung because they've come back from Iraq and they're proud of him, so they want to go and do that for him. Somebody's become a jingle wearer. They want to conduct a song. Because you did have different songs, men's songs, kids' songs, and women's songs. You guys were your own nation, you women in here. I had an uncle who told me that the closest thing to God we have on earth is a woman. So you always protect her. In movies, you'll see Indian women, in the old movies, the same ones that go boom, 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 boom. Those, a woman walks behind because she's not as dominant as the male. That wasn't true. If an Indian woman walked behind you, and I asked my grandmother this one time, why do they portray women like that? And she goes, well, we did walk behind him. And I said, well, why on the trail would you walk behind him? And he said, because he protects our front and we protect his back. So you guys have always been, you women in here have always been the backbone of who we are. The mothers of that entire group of people. And that's why they always said, it takes a child or a village to raise a child. It's true. Because sometimes us men, we have to sit there and we have to go into different ceremonies and we have to set at that drum and we have to sing because we don't always fly right. Women will go like this and men will go like this. And every time they do this, these women have to pull them back like this again. So they'll go right for a little while and then they'll start doing this again. And they have to keep pulling them back. So, you guys are very honored as far as Indian people are concerned. You are, the word mother really means mother. You will go to Oklahoma, you'll see a lot of women sit behind the drum. They don't sit at the drum. They do this because they don't have to sit at the drum. Plus, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'll say it anyway. Sometimes she has to stand behind us to keep us in line on the drum. There's been plenty of times I've sat at a drum and had the lead singer start a song and it be the wrong song and turn around and turn to her and say, how does that song go? And then she'll tell him. And then he sings it. Sometimes it's just that lead you forget, but she remembers. The sacrament that we take in the Native American Church, the NAC, is done by women. That women is always standing there to help us out, to nurture us, to steer us in the right way. It's even happened in the northern areas. We've had a hard time with alcoholism, drugs, and that cannot be around this. So, we've even on some reservations had girl groups start up, where you've had northern groups that were all girls. And when asked, why did you start a girl group? Because I've seen some of these girl groups come into certain areas and certain men get kind of upset because they're sitting at the drum. But they also do it correctly. I've talked to some of them. If they're on their moon, which is where you're strongest, they won't sit at that drum. Because it's a competition between you and that drum. They won't sit there. They'll pull off for that time. And when they're done, they'll come back and sit at that drum again. So we've seen some of those pop up here and there. When you ask some of the women, why do you do it? It's because they'll say, our men aren't interested anymore. We're losing our songs because our kids are doing this. So, again, the women jump up there and take the forefront in order to keep something alive. Nowadays, those are a little bit less, and we start seeing more men groups come in. So it's taken its toll, it's taken its time, and they had to kind of fill that time for a while. But basically, that's kind of like where your women will set. I'm not sure how the split happened, but there was a split that made northern southern. And southern music came from the Oklahoma area, and they used a hide drum. I'm talking now, like later 60s, early 70s. They'd be using a hide drum, double-sided, hide on the top, hide on the bottom, real big. You can set 6, 7, 8 men at it. And that was your southern singers. And your southern singers used your regular sticks. Nowadays, because we're a living culture, we make everything out of what we have now. That's a fishing rod. Tape comes in real good, you know, to hold things together. If we would have had tape in 1890, we would have used it, let me tell you. So they'll use a hide stick for that drum. At that same time, in the north, they wanted to separate themselves a little bit, I guess, or there was a separation. I'm not sure where the separation came, but they started using bass drums. They would go to schools and ask, do you have an old bass drum? And they wouldn't re-hide it. What they would do is they would take off one of the rims, and then they would cut the rim in half and then put it back on and then put the lug nuts back on. So it would just lower the rim. And then they would use fluffies, because it made it lower. The two styles of singing is, one, you had a lower style of singing in the South, where they did a lot more. If they're vocal bowls, it'd be, you know, they would do it this way. Up north, they would take it up a little higher and sing in more of a falsetto kind of thing, like they would just go up higher with it. And so it separated the two groups. It's nice to see that in the last 10, 15 years, we've all gone back to the high drum. There was also, on the Powwow Arena, a little animosity between northern and southern people, and we've seen that go away. We've seen where now some of the booths and vendors and stuff that come to powwows are even from Ecuador and Mesoamerica. Doing away with that border, saying those are still brothers and sisters who are down there in Mexico too. They're Indians there as well. Out west, you can go to a powwow and it's not uncommon to see the specialty dance maybe in the afternoon be Aztec dancers. So we've really opened up that door to everybody who is native. What else? Now I'm getting lost. No. The hide, the drum itself, is not something, with the way we treat it, is not holy in itself. It's not something that's real religious in itself, except for the fact that what it's made of is, and makes it holy to us. Makes it our heartbeat. We can't dance without the drum. But we don't use the drum for everything. You know, me and Dr. Prescott was talking about that as well. You know, if you go clear back to creation stories and you ask your families and them, you know, like we have, you know, what did we do before we had the drum? What did we do during our creation when our people were here? You know, they said that everything, voice was a big thing. Singing, everything. If you prayed in your own language and then you sang. If you hunted, you found your deer, but you sang. And when you sang that deer song, that deer would either run away, which means your song was not heard, or it would just stand there and let you take him. You know, before they hunted buffalo, they sang. You know, for that hunt, to protect themselves. You know, hunting a buffalo on a horse isn't an easy task. You know, and especially during the time before the French, when you're trying to put an arrow into something that is 10 times bigger than you are. You know, there was people who died. So dancing before, praying before, using that voice, singing was something that was very dear to us. There are even groups, I was once told that the Winnebago people went back to using their traditional name as Ho-Chunk. And it was told to me at one time that that Ho-Chunk didn't mean, the people like a lot of tribes were. It meant the mighty voices because of the way that they sang. So song was very much part of our life and still is. Every day a song is being composed. When you go to a powwow, you can hear a song that you'll hear the MC talking, and he'll say, there's an old Kiowa song. There's a song they used to use, and he'll name it. And then they'll sit there and they'll start another song on a northern drum or another southern drum, and they'll say, and there's a song that was composed by that lead singer who's sitting out there right now. So this is a living thing. We do it every day, not just as a hobby. You do have, and I will put in this misnomer, you have little things in New Age groups called Come to My Drum Group. And all they do is sit there and beat the drum. I've attended some. I've walked in, and they're all sitting in a circle with their little hand drum that they bought somewhere, and they're doing these beats and doing something that they say they feel this from. That's fine for them, but do not mistake that for being native. Because we have a rule. This was a rule that I was always taught when I was saying, you hit that drum, you start a song. Because you hit that drum, you got their attention now. They gave you this. They gave you those songs. So sing one for them. And so I just wanted to put that little misnomer in. You do have drum groups, little drum, hand drum groups, they'll call them, and stuff like that. So if you ever see a flyer like that, you go, hey, there's a hand drum group. Randy came to my class and talked to me. And then you whisk off over there, and there's not one Indian sitting in the room, and they're all beating on these little hand drums. You'll go, okay, well, this definitely isn't Indian. It might be cool for you, but it's not Indian. So you just have to remember that. We'll move. Let's do styles of songs. Since I've already made you know that boom, 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 boom isn't our deal, the heartbeat is. We have several different beats. Your straight beat. Which would be used for a straight song, vocable or word song. Round dances. Or Canadian round dances. Side steps. Anything that you hear is like your heart. If your heart was like boom, 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 it'd be like more like a cardiac arrest than it would be, And it's funny because you'll go to dances and you'll see people set up at the drum, and you'll see men sitting there singing, and you'll see their wives sitting behind them, and you'll see their babies laying on blankets next to the drum, and it doesn't bother them. She was that way. When she was in her mother, and we would sing at the drum, and she'd sit right there behind me, she'd move around. And always very calm, though. If we ever have problems living in the city, going to school, like I go to this school, and a lot of times I get in trouble by instructors because I'll say I have to go home for a dance. I have to go home to sing. We have a funeral. Some of them say, go. You need to do that. I'm very proud of you for being as into your culture as you are. Others have really given me a bad time about it. And I'll drop that class pretty fast because I'm Indian first. My family comes first. School is second. This is first. This is what I was born with. I wasn't born with this. So when we do these songs, it's very important that we do them correctly. I've spent a lot of years learning my songs that I know correctly. Right words, right drum beats. I've even gone so far as to look up the person who has composed that song. And in the right way, a long time ago, if you found that person and he was there, you would gift him, either with a blanket or blanket and tobacco or something. You would give it to him. And there's been plenty of times that I've met men at powwows that I've gone, I sing one of your songs. And they'll say, really? Well, come here and sing it for me. And I'll sing it, and they'll correct one or two words for me in their language. And I'll gift them a blanket and them, and they'll tell me, you can have that song. You can sing it anytime you want to. And the reason is because they'll always tell me, I haven't had somebody do that to me ever. But that's supposed to be our tradition. When you put a new drum group together, you're supposed to come to the arena and do a giveaway to everybody and ask to have that drum put on that arena. The same way as we have to pay our way onto the arena when we come in with a new dancer. And that's just gifting the people who have helped you. That's just showing respect to, you know, your aunt or your uncle or your friends who took part in doing something on her dress or helped you with a song on your drum group. So you gift those people. What else? Okay, round dance. Pretty easy. See if I remember this Canadian. Simple round dance. Sometimes you'll have English words in them. Like, real fast, what is that song? Wait on your head, 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 wait on. I'm from Oklahoma, got no one for my own, so I come here looking for you. If you'll be my honey, I will be your sugar pie. Which is a song you'd sing to a girl. So they sometimes put songs, words in those as well, English words. They'll throw them in there. I know a lot of those, talking about brown eyes and long hair and all this other kind of stuff. So the other was just a straight round dance tune. We have songs for every category. Grass dance, a little bit different drumming. I didn't cover that one. Grass dance, let me see. Peje wa kishe pede chapeno, we shane, oka chobe, onka chobe, o papa no, peje wa chepeno, we shane, oke topeno. Peje wa kishe pede chapeno, we shane, o ankan chepe o kanchobe o papa no, peje wa chepeno, peje wa chepe no shane peje chepe no we shane oe oke tope no peje wakishi peje chape no we shane wakan chepe oka chobe o papa no peje peje wa chepe no. And that's a grass dance song. If you hear the movements, grass dance is a very cool dance, if you could ever see it. In the old days, they used to wear bustles and headgear. There are pictures of some grass dancers, if you see some old pictures of the Wounded Knee just before the massacre happened. I know there's a picture that they have where there's 5 or 6 men who were dressed out as grass dancers. All of their wrappings and weavings that they have are all made from sweetgrass and wrapped around them. Today, we make those out of ribbon. So you can tell all your grass dancers, no bustles. They'll have all of this ribbon going everywhere. And when they dance, when they're doing that beat, they'll dance that way. And they'll move their leg one way, and then they'll stop and move it the other way. Because it's a repeat kind of dance. Whatever you do one way, you have to stop and do the other way. Back home where we're from, we don't mow our power arenas. Out here, first time I ever went to a dance, and the grass was mowed. And I went, well, that's nice, but that's not what we do. What we do back home is we have 4 or 5 grass dancers in the front. And we have some singers behind them, or at the drum, and they'll do a grass dance. And those guys on the morning of, dressed out, will stomp that grass down. And they'll push it down. If you've ever seen 5, 8 of these guys standing in a row, all doing the same thing, and pushing that grass down all the way around that arena, it's something to see. It's pretty cool. And sometimes one of them will have a crane flute, and when he blows it, it tells them what to change to. These guys are like a little society of their own. We've seen that. And that's very cool to see. So I'd rather see that than see the mowing of the of the deal, but that's okay. What else? Let's do you. Let's show them what a jingle and they can do 2 songs, straight and sidestep. Sidestep's very old and it's really hard. So what I'm going to do is not put her through that because she's dancing this weekend, so I don't really want to wear her out before she gets out there and she's up there and goes to sidestep and falls down because I've worked her too much today. No. So you can just do it here. I'll just stand here. You don't have to go very far, right? No? Okay. We'll do a straight song first. But this is a Winnebago song. And then the second song we'll sing is an Ojib song, which is a sidestep. So I'll do 2 in 1. a sidestep in a straight song. Actually got him right that time. But you forgot 2 and 1. She actually forgot the 2 and 1. That I was going to go through the song twice, then go ahead and go through the sidestep once. So she stopped a couple of times. If at some dances we have competitions, she would have done that there and then, she's disqualified. We do that. You learn those songs, you know those songs, you know when to stop, not to stop. You lose an item off your regalia, you're out. So we can't lose anything and we can't stop wrong. If you're going to lose a contest, that's one way to lose it real big. Have the drum stop and you overstep or understep. Stop and then the drum stops. So you won't do real big contest dancers, you won't see that. We do compete. I've competed for years as a fancy dancer and then now as a men's traditional. Kind of hot. The jingles are made out of snuff can lids. Just rolled. They used to make these out of 30-30 shells, making that dress really heavy. This dress is heavy enough. Probably 30, 35 pounds, the dress alone. She has beaded hair ties that her cousin done for her. Her mom done her purse and beaded that. Her fan. Native people are the only ones who can actually have eagles. These are from a golden. We get all of our feathers from the fishing game in Minnesota. They send them to us. So because we are registered tribal members, so we have the right to possess these. Her uncle made her the heart-shaped deal because Chante means the heart. So she has her own fan. And we used to, people used to, she was like 4, sorry. She was like 3 years old, and she'd be out there on the arena, and I gave her a fake little turkey fan because I didn't know how she, I thought the first thing she was going to do is, put it in her mouth. And she never did. She just sat there and she'd dance on the side. Then she was Southern dancing. She had just a cloth dress with her little breastplate and stuff on. She'd sit there and just dance with her mom and aunts and all them. And then one day we're sitting at the arena and I'm sitting at the drum and they're all dancing. And I look over and her aunt, who has a real big wing, a whole wing from an eagle, goes, "Here, hun." And that little girl white-knuckled that fan through that whole dance. We got done and you actually had to remove her fingers from the fan because she knows, don't drop these. We don't let these hit the ground. If you're in the middle of a dance, her plume or an upright feather, something off of mine, out regalia, if we're dancing and it falls down, we're northern, we have to do a feather pickup. So you get 4 veterans out there, 4 veteran dancers that are traditional, and they dance around that feather. And the oldest man in that group, or the man who is the most decorated veteran, touches that feather 4 times during a song, again, a song that goes along with it, called a feather pickup. And they do 2 songs. I know the 2 songs, and I'm trying to remember what the Sioux called them. One is I think it's to kill the enemy, and the other one is to pick up somebody. The story goes that a long time ago that there was a group of warriors that went out and fought, and one warrior was wounded and fell. And 4 times these group of men went in to try to get him. And on the 4th time they got him, and they got him out. And so when that feather falls on the arena, we recreate that whole deal because we say that feather is like that fallen warrior. So we have 4 veterans come out, dance around it, and on the 4th time that older man can pick it up. Here's the deal. You can't keep it. It's no longer yours. It's his. You pass it on. Because Indian people actually believe we do not possess this. This is only here for right now for us to use. Same way with she's actually taken dresses that have been very nicely made for her, and just recently, about 6 months ago, she passed one on to another little girl because she had outgrown it. So she took the mocks, leggings, the whole deal, and said, "I want to do this, Dad." And we went and got an older man and brought it in, and he sang, again, a song, and then passed that dress on to another little girl. And it's the same way with our drums. You know, it was the same way with our concept with land. You know, we didn't own it. It was here for now, for us to use it. Also, we do not harmonize on the drum. A lot of stuff is done in unison. If it sounds like a harmony, it's because if you split your drum, if you have a couple of guys going a little higher, a lot of time it's just steps up, a half step or a whole step. When the women on the second half of the song will sing, you'll see them stand up and have their shawls on, and they'll walk up behind the men, and they'll take that step up a little higher. But it's not a harmony. It's basically we sing in unison. You have a lead. That's one whole lead. Then your guys will come in right behind you. And you'll repeat that. When you reach the end of that, that's your verse. Boom. They repeat it again. That's your tail. Some groups will change the tail. They actually sang the lead, the second, the part of the song, the tail part of the song, and then the next time you got to the tail part of the song, you actually changed and hooked another tail onto it, another whole section of words. And it was a grand entry song. A lot of our songs, power-wise, words are telling those dancers to dance hard, or to dance for their grandparents, or your grandparents are watching you, so dance well. Dance well with those eagle feathers. Protect those eagle feathers. You know, watch over that arena, your grandparents are watching you. That grass dance tune, there's a part in that grass dance tune that actually tells those grass dancers, dance well, because those old men are watching you and they really know how to dance. So it's telling you just to keep yourself together and do it as correctly as you can. We did use other instruments. Rattles. Did you play them? I know one time you had played a stomp dance song. What you hear in there, that when they're doing those, and that's kind of a call and response. And they'll back you up. They're standing in one line going around a fire. You have a caller, and then you have a shaker, which is a girl who's, like you'll see them in Oklahoma, they'll wear a t-shirt and a dress, and then they'll have these rows and rows of either, like they look like pop cans that are all hooked together, or if they get real traditional, they have turtle shells. And they're doing that behind these guys. And that's that that you're hearing behind, all of that. It'll go caller, shaker, singer, shaker, singer, shaker, singer, shaker, however many you have until you get to the crowd of people. But it always goes boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. It's probably, I remember the first time I ever went to a stomp dance, I was really surprised because it's can't be two guys and it can't be two girls. You have to have a guy in between or a girl in between. And I'm standing off to the side, and it's kind of like this roller coaster, you know, it's going around and you're kind of going, you know, and you kind of jump into it. I didn't get a chance to jump into it because there was two girls and this really old lady. She just grabbed me by the arm and yanked me in. And as I went flying to this group, I'm all like, well, I'm in, I guess. I mean, you know, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but let's do it anyway. But that's, you know, sometimes how you learn, jump in both feet, get wet. So I did. So that's interesting too, if you ever get to see a stomp dance. A lot of times if you go to a powwow and see them, it's a social, it's not the actual stomp dance. And that's something that is very dear to Creek, Seminole, Choctaw, Chickasaw, you know, Cherokee people. That's kind of their thing. The other thing we used was flutes. We used flutes for courting. Sometimes we used flutes for medicine. In some groups, they called them elkmen. Some tribes, if a young man wanted to marry a woman or court her, he'd make his own flute, compose his own song, play it for her. If she liked him, if she took it to heart, she would talk to him. If not, then he was just playing to the wind. That's what my grandpa used to say. He's just wasting his time playing to the wind. Other tribes that didn't make a flute, you actually had elkmen that they called within within their tribe, a society of men, and you would go and you would pay him. You know, here's a pony, compose a song, I'm going to be standing outside her teepee, come there and play it. And they would. Again, if she wanted to talk to you, she'd come outside. If she didn't, you're playing to the horse and the wind. Good luck there. So I'll do a song off here, just to let you hear one. I composed this, me and a relative, and composed it for our grandma. She didn't get a chance to hear it before she passed away, and he also passed away. So I play it for you guys and play it any chance I get because it's their song. I just feel that they still hear it. So it goes. So that's one. This is an Ottawa flute. It's a 5-hole Oklahoma River cane. Since we have a group of Ottawas that live in Oklahoma, this one was made for me and given to me. The other one that I have is a 6-hole. It allows you a little bit better. You can play some sharps and flats, but basically the same scale. With a 5-hole, it's a little bit easier because whatever I'm blowing will come out. I just need to cover the holes. So it's kind of like humming into something, and then you just move in order to make the sound come. This one's a cedar flute. So if you want, I can, so you guys can see these. I can pass these around. You guys can take a look at them. Any questions? I'll take anything. Not sure whether I'll answer, but no, if I don't know. But anything you guys wanted to know? Always wanted to know? Yeah.
I read an article about the jingle dance, the jingle, dress.
Jingle dress.
Yeah, jingle dresses. And how long did it take to make?
All depends. I've seen an entire, get this, an entire outfit that's hair ties, bracelets, whatever they want to do, belt, mocks, leggings, and the dress itself. See, this is also an underskirt, so that when she sets down, she can actually pull this up and just gather it here. Or she can sit there and just pull this part up and sit down. But I've seen one made in one day. And if a girl's going to have one done, like when she had hers done, she has to fix the meal for the people who are doing it. That's her part. She feeds those who are actually making the dress for her. She never makes a dress on her own. That's one of our deals too. Also, 365. One for each day of the year. Grass dance, there are 52 moves. One for each week of the year. Because there's 52 weeks in a year. 365 each day. What happens leap year? We take one, and she actually has a dress that an older woman came up to her, walked up to her and said, "You have a very nice outfit. What happens if it's leap year?" And she reached under her little underskirt and pulled it up like this, and I had taken one, smashed it, and sewed it on the inside. She can wear that dress for or not leap year, because she has that one count. She goes, "That's very good." Because that's what we used to do. That's good. You're a good girl. You're a good... And then they always do this. And she hates that. But that's all right. She lives, you know, she puts up with it. Okay, one other thing I do want to, is there any more? Anybody wants to ask anything?
I have a question about the 6-volt pipe. What was that top room?
Where?
The 6-volt pipe?
Oh, it's the flute. It's a slider. It covers 2 holes. There are 2 holes with a wall in between. And so what your wind is coming in, up that hole, across that slider, and down the other hole, out the other deal. So it's what gives you sound. If I was to push that down and cover both holes, it'd just be air. It'd be nothing. Piece of wood, a paperweight, whatever you wanted it to be. Yeah.
How often do you guys dance? I mean, is it every day?
Usually powwow season. How often do we dance? Powwow season goes from usually March, starts off with Denver March. That's what they call it, Denver March Powwow in Denver, Colorado. Starts off Denver March Powwow and usually goes until about the middle of October, because it's very hard to get to a dance when you live in the middle of South Dakota and it's December. As we all know, it's really hard to get anywhere when there's a big ice storm and you can't go anywhere and you're stuck in your house. So, which was a really good learning thing for her. I was 14 days without power, and she goes, well, how are we going to keep our food? So went to Walmart, bought not an ice chest, but a packing thing, put my food in there and took it out and stuck it in the snow and said, this is what we do back home. We had to haul water and live by lantern, and I told her, welcome to the res. This is what we had to do when I was younger. Now you've got to do it. Actually, she's been very good. She's been to New Mexico with her cousins that are Navajo, helped them cut wood and haul water. So, but anyway, if there's no more, I want to thank you guys for having me come and talk to you. And that's about it. If there's anything else you guys want to know, you can ask me anytime. I'm part of this class, so actually I'll be here Monday. So anything you guys want to know. Okay? Don't be afraid to ask. I'm done. Thanks.